go.
Hey, it's time, everybody. May I direct your mind and ears
to the center of the ring.
Al centro of the octagon, if you will.
Or maybe within the confines of the cage.
Remember, peeps, every fighter has a voice, and so do you on AM 1680. The Voice. The Voice. The Voice. The Voice.
With your fight-talking host,
Richard Ortiz.
Don't hit me, Rich. Don't hit me.
Just break me down with some of that fight talk. The Fighter's Voice. Right here. And remember, every fighter has a voice. And so do you. So let's get ready to, you know what? Right here on The Fighter's Voice.
We're live here in Fresno, California. Microphone, please. 1680 AM, The Fighter's Voice. Voiceography at its finest. Every fighter has a voice, and so do you here on 1680. We have a knockout show for you tonight, and it's sponsored by Serrano's Furniture. Family owned since 1986 in 9 great locations: Bakersfield, Delano, Dinuba, Fresno, Hanford, Madera, Tulare, Visalia, and Porterville. And our other sponsors: About Millions, Lifestyle and Promotions, and Main Events Gym. This evening's show is being streamed on my Facebook page, Richard Ortiz, and on Instagram at The Fighter's Voice by The Fighter's Voice team. So share it, like it, and leave a comment for The Fighter's Voice or our guests anytime during the show. Tonight's show is engineered by Jose. And tonight's co-host, UFC veteran, the Apache Kid himself, Mr. Cole Escovedo. Say what's up, Cole.
What's up, Cole?
And we'll be rocking the show. He'll be rocking the show with me. Tonight, our guest will be talking about the future of MMA fights, along with the future of boxing events. We'll be talking about Conor McGregor and his long-awaited return to the UFC and Bellator's top talent. And the big rematch between Triple G and Canelo, finally. And we're going to ask our guest if he's coming to Fresno, California, July 7th to witness history in the making, watching Jose Ramirez make his first title defense of his WBC super lightweight title.
That's big.
Yes, it is. Now, this evening, we have with us the talented, professional, the best cut man in the game who works in boxing and mixed martial arts. He has worked the corners of the who's who of both MMA and boxing. Ladies and gentlemen, the best cut man in the world, and now back to cage side. Ladies and gentlemen, for your main event of the evening, fighting out of the blue corner, from Las Vegas, Nevada, Jacob Stitch Duran! How we doing, sir? Welcome to the Fighter's Voice radio show. How you doing, Stitch?
Hey, thanks, man. Hey, Cole Escovedo set that up, didn't he?
What's
that
up?
was a hell of an intro, man. Thanks. What's up, Cole?
Man, that was all Rich, man. That's how he runs his stuff, man. Top notch, bro. It's cool, huh?
Yeah, that was pretty awesome, man.
You know what? We wanted to give you a proper introduction, man, and I'm glad you liked it.
That was great. Yeah, thanks, man.
You know, I got to ask this question. These questions are coming from the fans, because when I told them you were coming on the show, they were blowing me up. And one's pretty basic, but they all want to know, how did you get started in this crazy business?
You know, I grew up in the San Joaquin Valley, right? I grew up in a little town called Planada, the 209 area by Merced. And I always wanted to play professional baseball, and I walked on to Merced College, and I had to have a car, and I would have to kind of thumb it out. So I just left college and joined the military, and I was in the Air Force, and I was stationed in Thailand in 1974, and I saw my first Muay Thai fight, and I liked it, and I started training Taekwondo with the GIs on the base, and the Koreans left, and the Thais came over, and they kind of took us over, and then when I got to Oakland, I got into boxing, and then I opened my own school of kickboxing, and here I am, man, talking to you guys.
Wow,
man. In 209.
That's quite a resume. And I understand you used to do a little bit of promotions. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, you know, when I had my own school of kickboxing, it was called ASK, the American School of Kickboxing, and yeah, I promoted fights, I managed the fighters, I trained them, and, you know, obviously I worked the cuts, and I just kind of liked the cuts, you know, kind of went to the top, and but I could train, you know, I could train fighters, and when I moved to Vegas, here I thought all the great trainers in boxing were here, but I could hang with the big boys here, and, you know, I worked with Johnny Tapia, and I did pass for Mike Tyson, Mike McCallum, and, you know, worked with Ray Lovato from Fresno that fought Trinidad, and so I could hang, you know, but I just like being a cut man.
Well, there you go, man. I mean, don't take all the content away. That was the question later on in the show, the who's have you worked with? But I got to ask you this: have you worked with Cole Escovedo?
I think it was WEC, Cole.
Probably way back in the day.
Yeah,
Way
no,
back in the
I don't
day.
think I ever worked his corner, but I've known him through his career, real wiry, and we
Yeah.
spent some time in Europe together.
Yeah, we hung out in Europe. We've hung out backstage before. Like, I've seen Stitch around. He's like old school. You think anything as far back as MMA goes, Stitch is going to be associated with it.
Stitch,
Yeah.
anybody who puts a mouthpiece in, I guess, knows you. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, pretty much, man. I'm in Chicago now. I came in earlier today, and I told the guys, "No, I gotta here at 8:00." I said, "I got an interview at 8:00, man." So, but here with a lot of the fighters, some I recognize, but a lot of them, like from Pakistan and all that, they all come up and they recognize me. Which is an honor in itself. And Cole and I went to Europe together, and he saw how many of the GIs there recognized me. And
Oh, dude, people recognize him more than they recognize us, like, at first. Because they see, because the thing is, here's the thing. You can watch all the UFC fights you want, but the constant is a guy like Stitch that you're always going to see. Like, you're always going to see him close up. He's in every major fight. So it's like, even if you're not watching that fighter, you're always going to see Stitch. So he just is, you think like MMA on a large scale, Stitch's face, like, it just comes. It's just,
yeah,
he's like part of it. He's become part of its success along with it. He's humble about it, but guys like him and the people like him became the infrastructure of what you see today when you watch a pay-per-view.
And that's good. I mean, that's coming from a fighter itself. How does that make you feel when people have not just the utmost respect, but you've laid down the foundation of the corner man, of the cut man? Nowadays, when you think of a cut man, a corner man, back in the day, you used to think of Mickey and Rocky. Now they think of you. How does that make you feel?
I don't know. It's a great feeling, and that was always my goal is not to be the great cut man, but to teach. And I remember when I got back from the military, I was working with boxers, and we did a show in Richmond, California, and this guy, I was learning to be a cut man, and this guy did a nice job on the cut, and I went and asked him, I said, hey, I'm trying to learn to be a cut man. Can you tell me what you did? And then very nice words. I mean, he threw me the F-bomb. F you, I'm thinking this to my grave, and you got to learn just like me, and he walked away.
Oh, so he didn't want to give up the secrets.
Yeah, then in the old cut man, everybody said, nah, it's a secret, or if you teach somebody, they'll take your job, and once I broke down the mechanics of what actually happens here, it's not no secrets, it's all technique, and so now I go back to the Bay Area, and I was there with Andre Ward, and him and his son wanted to take pictures with me, so I know he forgot about that moment, but I never did.
There you go. Speaking of Andre Ward, I'm going to be working a show in Hayward. That'll be July 14th. Andre Ward's putting on an amateur event. So, very nice guy, very humble guy. I saw him in Las Vegas the night that I saw you, and he's no longer a light heavyweight. He looked to be a stiff, strong, great shape. Looked like a cruiserweight to me.
Andre's always going to stay in shape. He's a good kid, man, and I was just glad to be working with him from day one. And I remember because I used to train at King's Gym when I lived in Oakland. As a matter of fact, I got the first Golden Gloves chance. I trained him out of there because it was a new gym, but Andre trained there when he was a kid. So I've known him that long. But good character and good kid. And, I know the next question is he going to fight again, right? The answer is no.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna take you on that because some people think that he is, but
that was quick and firm too. That was just like he's like, look, I'm not even gonna bullshit. I'm not gonna bull us. It's no.
Yeah,
Just
there
no.
you go.
Andre usually when he says his word, he's a man that sticks to his word, and everything he's done like that, it's always been like that. So he said no, and I just saw him the other day. We did an ESPN show together, and people, that's the question they're asking. But who knows? It'd be nice. He's capable of coming back and really making some noise.
Yeah. I want to ask you this. Do you remember the first fight that you worked the corner of?
Yeah, first fight ever?
Yes, first fight. All you.
Yeah, actually it was in Hayward, believe it or not. It was when I was at King's Gym. We started the amateur program, me and Pete Alvarado Ice Pack. And I worked my first corner in an amateur fight, and man, I had that 1 minute, but I didn't know how to focus on a minute. And I'm running like a rabbit. My hands are moving quick and rubbing his face and this and that. And Jim McCullough, which was the big coach at that time from Hayward, is laughing and says, "Hey, man, take your time." He goes, 1 minute's a long time. And, so, you know, I mean, I didn't know what to do. You know, I was just rubbing him like I was washing a car, and I didn't know what I was doing. And he saw what I was doing, and he laughed, and he put me in check. And from there on, I just learned the game.
You know, I guess that's going to answer the next question. I was going to ask you, who, when you first started, gave you the best advice, and what was it that you still are grateful and thankful for today?
Well, that's a good question, man. I don't know if anybody's ever asked me that one. But, you know, man, I have to go back on that one.
Okay, well,
you know, I've had a lot of great moments, but you want me to go way back in time. I know in boxing, Chuck Bodak.
Right.
If you guys remember him, he's the guy, the old man looked like Colonel Sanders, would put the tape on his forehead he worked with Chavez.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he put all the tape and emblems on his head.
Yeah. He's the first one. When I moved to Vegas, I did my first coming out fight. It was Raul Marquez fought Keith Mullins. Raul Marquez was the IBF middleweight champ. And De La Hoya fought Camacho in the main event. We were the semi-main, but Raul Marquez got like 5 cuts, and I kept him in the game. He defended his title, and Chuck Bodak came up to me and really was the first one to welcome me to Vegas and said, "Man, you did a great job," you know, and this and that. We became friends ever since that, you know. But the old school guys won't give you compliments, you know.
No, that's good.
So that was an honor in itself, and we were friends to the day he passed.
I remember he used to work with Madomeno Paez, and then he even mimicked him with his hairdo by putting all those checkers on the back of his head.
That was him.
Yeah,
yep.
exactly. Now, let me ask you the $1 million question, because you're no longer with them, but how did you get involved in UFC?
Well, you know, I knew Dana. I knew Dana when we were in the gyms. I was training fighters. We were training fighters. Then it was just boxing, right? Dana was in the gyms and kind of patting out some of the executives and the executive wives and all that. And but I knew Dana through the gyms, and I'd see him at the fights all the time. And Lorenzo was with the commission at that time for Tita, so they would always be sitting at ringside. So anyway, you know, we always associated, and I saw him at a K1 I was working, and after that he asked for my card and called me the next day and said that they had bought the UFC and that he wanted to know if I wanted to be a cut man, and I said, "Yeah, team," and came on board and changed my whole life.
Right place, right time.
There it is there, and the rest is history. Now, I don't know, if you don't want to comment on this, I understand. What was the whole comment on the Reebok deal? And I know it was for the fighters. You were sticking up for the fighters because as it was, they were using their own sponsorship to try to create money for themselves. What was that comment?
I was actually speaking up for the cut men.
Oh, okay.
And but what had happened is no, I don't mind talking. I talked about it earlier today, and I'm all people. You know, it's been great because it's been like 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And people still stop me and commend me and F this and F that and the UFC and the Reebok and you know, Dana White and they give me props and you know, so I answer these questions. I don't mind. So what happened is they went into the Reebok deal, and obviously fighters and Cole knows were making money, a lot more fighters were making money through sponsors than they were through fights. And, and so was I. You know, I had great sponsors and not only you know,
it became a direct effect.
Yeah. So they come and they get rid of all the sponsors for the fighters, and they give them a bonus.
Stitch, we're about to take
amount of fight.
Stitch, we're about to take a commercial, but hold on, because we're going to be coming right back here on 1680 AM.
You are listening to The Fighter's Voice on AM 1680.
Right now, we gotta take a break. You know.
Pay some bills. So be ready for some head banging, lip smacking, heart attacking, fight talk. Because every fighter has a voice.
Don't hit me, Rich. Don't hit me.
Just break me down with some of that fight talk. The fighter's voice. Right here. And remember, every fighter has a voice. And so do you. So let's get ready to you know what. Right here on The Fighter's Voice.
And we're back here in Fresno, California, 1680 AM, The Fighter's Voice. Voiceography at its finest. Every fighter has a voice, and so does our guest, the best cut man in the business, Mr. Stitch Duran. Stitch, thank you for holding on. Sorry to cut you off, because you are a cut man, so I had to cut you off. You get it?
All right, no problem, man.
Just so you know, when you hear the bell ring, that means we got 1 minute. But I want to hear that great story. Finish up with that story. I'd appreciate that. All the fans want to know.
I'll throw it out within a minute, man. So, anyway, the fighters were messing around, so they got rid of the sponsors for the cut men with no compensation, and I tried to meet with them a couple times, 2 or 3 times, and there was no money in the kitty, they would say. And so, anyway, John Nash from Bloody Elbow called me and wanted to know if I'd be interested in doing an interview regarding how the sponsorship deal affected the cut man, and I figured I might as well man up, and I did, and I was very politically correct and just saying maybe I have to concentrate more on boxing, and I understand the UFC, because I've worked corporate America, so I understand business, but the way they handled it was different, and that's what started the chain reaction that went viral. The article did, and they called me the next day and says because of the interview, the UFC was not going to use me no more, and that went viral. And then Dana, a couple weeks later, the dust was settling. I did like 57 interviews in a week. I had camera crews coming to my house, and it was the biggest thing in MMA. And then Dana, a couple weeks later, the dust was settling, and Karen Bryant asked Dana on TV on Fox if Stitch was coming back, and Stitch will never be back. I mean, it was that big, right? And then he ends up by blowing it down the road and saying, somewhere, I don't know why it came out, Stitch and I were never friends. And that blew up in his face, So I kind of became the face of the rebellion. They kind of spoke out about which should be fair for the fighters and the company.
But you know what? You've earned the respect of so much. You had the respect to begin with, but you earned the respect of so much more after that comment and after those interviews. I want to ask you this. What MMA fighter today would you like to work with?
I've worked with them all, brother.
Which one stands? Did you say Cole Escobedo?
I got to finish my career with Cole, man.
Okay, there you go.
Out and, nothing like breaking sweat together.
I guarantee you, Stitch, if I take another fight, bro, you will get a phone call.
Love it, man. I have to, man.
There you go. And listen, I know that you worked with everybody in the business, in the industry. If you could have your pick, where was the chemistry most? Where did you feel something like, okay, this could be a bond, but I know it's just business?
No, I had great bonds with everybody, man. The Klitschko brothers, both of them, Vitaly and Vladimir, had a great bond with them. Josh Barnett, Vitor Belfort, Vanderlei Silva.
That's like asking a race car driver what car he likes.
Silva. All these guys, there's a great bond whenever you work in those close battles, and that they know I'm there to protect them. There's a certain bond, man, and I've gotten dozens of hugs and kisses on the cheek, and the guys tell me they love me. And these guys are true gladiators, and for me to get that kind of respect, to me, it's awesome. But man, everyone I've worked with has been great.
There you go. Now, I want to ask you this, because, of course, we spoke in Las Vegas. We were covering the Crawford fight. What did you think of Terrence Crawford winning the WBO welterweight title in Las Vegas? And who do you think he'll fight next? But who would you like to see Crawford fight next?
Well, you know what? He took this kid Jeff Horn to school, man. Literally he was a B-rated fighter with an A fighter. And Terrence Crawford, he can fight. I don't know. I do so many fights. I don't even really kind of follow, who's going to fight who. I just want to see good fights. But eventually, I guess, Earl Spence to me has always been my favorite.
The dream fight. That's the dream fight.
Yeah, and whether that comes true or not. But Terrence Crawford, he's done good for himself. Man.
Very good for himself. Bob Arum said himself at the press conference that he reminds him of Sugar Ray Leonard in Marvin Hagler. Now, those are strong words coming from the top promoter in the world.
Yeah, but the thing with Terrence Crawford and on the marketing, everything is marketing, right?
Right.
If Terrence Crawford was to walk in the airport and Spence was to walk, they would recognize Spence more than they would Terrence Crawford. They need to market him to go out there because he's great what he does, and he is capable of fighting like those guys. But the general public needs to know who he is.
So talk about marketing. You did the promoting. You did your own gym. You fought for our country. What's in the future for Stitch? I know you got your own hand wrap company. I know you got a lot of things going on. You're in the movies. With Sylvester Stallone, with Creed, with all these combat movies. What's next on your journey?
Man, that's a good question. You're right. Everything like this, all these things that you mentioned, they've all happened, and it kind of blows my mind. I just finished 5.5 weeks of filming Creed 2, so that's coming out in Thanksgiving. And I'm going to Kazakhstan in 2 weeks to work with Beirut Shumanov. He was a cruiserweight champ. But he's fighting over there, and it's a special week because it's the anniversary of the Capitol, and it's also the birthday of the president, so they're going to have a week celebration, and the finale will be the fights, and the message I got is the president will be there, and expect other presidents from the other Soviet Union countries to be there. So I'm going for that, and Beirut's fighting for a world title, so that should be a fun week up there.
It doesn't even really sound like what's next for Stitch. It's like it's still going. Like he still seems like it sounds like he's full throttle still. Like since last I talked to him and things I saw, even without the UFC and him moving on with boxing's so huge. He's so huge in boxing that he just said okay, and went. So it's not. I don't really think it's like what's next. I think it's just so what's going on. Like he seems like full in neck high deep in it still.
Oh yeah, it's been crazy, man. I did the movie just on my last month and a half, 2 months. I spent 5.5 weeks in the movie, and then I went to Greece, Athens, for a week for the International Cutman Association hand wrapping championships. Then I went back to Philadelphia, and then I got with Cole, I got invited to go to Fort Bragg the Memorial Week because they were having memorial services for the fallen soldiers and all that, and they had combative week. So I went there for a couple of days, and then went home and shit. Where did I go? I did the first bare knuckle fights. Cole, that's what you ought to get into.
Oh yeah, those are coming back.
I did the first bare knuckle legal fight in Wyoming.
Dude, that seems like it's taking a car and just ramming it into everything you come across, and then wondering why your car broke down every 5 miles.
It was a cut man's dream, brother.
Dude, I could imagine, bro. I bet you had stitches and super glue on hand, man.
Yeah, but I tell you what, it was done. It was done very professional. And everything that they did was first class.
No, and I imagine it was. Yeah, I imagine it was 100% like as classy as they can make it. But at the end of the day, man, that's rough on the fighters. Like, there's no real longevity there. Like you saw, firsthand. There's no longevity.
It's nothing but street fights, brother. That's all it was, man. And
yeah, of course, street fights, legal street fights, man. I love it.
But the people loved it. The fans loved it. And the fighters loved it.
Entertainment.
Yeah, but that's why they brought me in to make sure, at least on my side, to help them get
address everything the best,
and so to minimize injuries, and that's what we do.
Just you being there made it a professional event. The minute they saw you there, because they thought it was bombarding, but when they see a cut man of your statue, of everything that you've done, now they see it as a serious, professional, respectable sport. And I'm going to say this because talk about professional sport and knocking people out. We got to knock out these commercials right here. Stitch, I want you to hold on because we got another segment coming back. This is Rich Ortiz here with the Fighter's Voice coming right back here on 1680 AM.
You are listening to the Fighter's Voice on AM 1680.
Right now, we gotta take a break.
Pay some bills. So be ready for some head banging, lip smacking, heart attacking, fight talk. Because every fighter has a voice.
I was like, more power.
Don't hit me, Rich. Don't hit me.
Just break me down with some of that fight talk. The Fighter's Voice. Right here. And remember, every fighter has a voice. And so do you. So let's get ready to you know what. Right here on The Fighter's Voice.
And we're back here on 1680 AM, The Fighter's Voice. Voiceography at its finest. Every fighter has a voice, and so do you. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I got some candy stuck in my teeth. We got Stitch on the show. We got the Apache Kid on the show. The show doesn't get any better than this. This is part 3, and it's simply called Your Take. Your Take, Stitch. As you know, the rematch is signed, sealed, and delivered. Triple G, Canelo. Who do you have and why? Give me your take.
Well, I don't like to pick them because, in MMA, I could probably pick them. Boxing, I can't. This is a tough one, and well, I take it back. I would, if I give the edge, I'd give anybody, it'd be Canelo.
Why is that?
Because I did an interview the other day, like when Andre Ward got dropped by Kovalev, the first fight.
Yeah, that right hand.
That monkey, it's like it took that monkey off his back, thinking, all right, now I can take his shot. So on the mental game, it strengthened Andre. And the same thing with Canelo. He took Triple G's shot. And I thought Triple G won the first fight, no doubt. But on this one, I think Canelo realized that if he sits there and fight, he could do some damage, and I got to give him the edge for that.
You give him the edge, huh?
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with him looking like the size of a semi-truck or anything, right?
Yeah, that's different, man. If they put the gloves on, that's because everything's been authorized.
I know, right? It's just more weight to burn oxygen.
Yeah, what happens between now and then is, it's a different story. And I'll give we got a little time. I'll give you an insight.
Absolutely.
Is Bob Bennett from the Nevada Athletic Commission called me because Abe Sanchez had filed a complaint or made a complaint that Canelo, when he was getting his hand wraps, was being stacked. So stacked means you put gauze tape. So Bob Bennett called me and asked what I thought, and I said, well, I don't think it gives a fighter an advantage, So we went, I met with him, I wrapped his hands one way and then the other way, and then he brought in a hand specialist, and I did the same. I wrapped the doctor's hands one way and then stacked the other, and he didn't see that it gave a fighter an advantage. So I educated him. And I said, the bottom line, you wrap the hand if you don't break it.
He's an expert you would call in. Stitch is like an expert witness you would call in. If there was like a murder or like a boxer died in the ring, like Stitch is the kind of guy the athletic commission is going to call and go, okay, we need you to take a look at the padding of the boxer's glove. We need you to take a look at the hand wraps. We've cut them off. We've got pictures of them on. We've got videotape of them on. Look at them. Tell us what you think. We think there was a cheating going on. Like he would literally be the guy that they'd call and go, Stitch, we need you. Like, yeah. His expertise is so vast. His knowledge is so vast that people trust his opinion on so many different various levels just because of what he's done.
Stitch,
thanks.
You're
right.
When did you know that? When did you know that? Because I know now when you walk in a room, everybody stops. When did you know? When did you first feel that like things are different now?
I don't know, man. Your questions are too hard sometimes.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want them too hard.
It just happens, man.
There you go.
He's still
it blows my mind though every day, And I mean, I get to the airport this morning coming to Chicago at 6 a.m, and as soon as I walk into the terminal, people stop me and hit me up for pictures, And man, I'm big fans. I just saw Creed, and I'm thinking it's 6 a.m. I'm still having to think. I'm thinking, dang, man, But that's always a good feeling.
That is. I want to ask you this: will Conor McGregor come back to the UFC? And if so, when?
My gut feeling is no, is why. He's accomplished everything, and I don't know if he wants to be like a Ronda Rousey, go out, in the losing streak. And I think he would, so I think fair enough, he's made enough money, and I think, just on his marketing skills, he can make a lot more money.
Money, a kid, no real reason to do it anymore. I mean, there's nothing else he can really achieve.
And the possibility of getting beat is high.
Mm-hmm.
So why do it? That'd be my thought.
You know what, Stitch? Something just happened in our last take, and I'm not going to say what it is. I'll tell you right before the show ends, so then maybe I'll get some props from some of the broadcasters here, and then I'll tell you what I'm working through. But I want to ask you, who's your top 5 in MMA today?
I don't know, because I haven't been watching it that much. I don't watch UFC at all anymore. And then, I do the Bellator show. I do the Invicta fights. I do I'm doing the Professional Fight League here. And I don't know. Those questions are tough for me to ask or to answer, because I deal with so many of them, and then I don't a lot of times I don't look at the fights as a fight. I look at them as what kind of injuries they're getting. So I look at fights entirely different than you. But, in the old days, I had my picks for sure.
Yeah. Well, me and Cole, we came up with, put them in any order you want. We came up with George St. Pierre, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, Conor McGregor, Max Holloway, and Khabib, and I won't even try his last name, and Bones Jones if he was still involved, and I liked Roy McDonald from Bellator.
Yes. Well, those are all great picks.
Are they all in the same weight class?
No, just top five.
No.
in general. Yeah.
I was like, that's a tough one.
No. Now, who's your top five boxers? Do any come to mind right now?
For me?
Yeah, the top five boxers.
No.
Fighters.
No, not really. I feel like that. I just do these too many times. I keep paying that much attention to who's the best and who's not.
It's like asking a musician what kind of music they like, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you who I came up with. I came up with Crawford, Lomachenko, Spence, Mikey Garcia, and number 5, I'm going to take the winner of Triple G and Canelo.
That's solid. That's very solid.
Yeah, I came up with the.
Don't hit me, Rich. Don't hit me, Rich. Don't hit me.
Just break.
Yeah, but Earl Spence to me, I think is mechanically with everything and skill wise. I've always liked him, and I remember Stacy McKinley used to train Tyson. When I met Earl Spence, was his first fight in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And Stacy saying, "Oh, this kid's gonna be a world champ. This kid's gonna be a world champ." But I hear that 20 times a year.
Yeah.
But this kid definitely became a champ.
Now, are you independent? Tell us in 20 seconds. Are you independent? Can you work with whoever you want to work, or you got certain boundaries? Tell us in 20 seconds.
No, I can work with whoever I want to work with. No boundaries.
Free agent. That's the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly. For me, it's so much better.
Look at Mayweather. Look at Mikey Garcia. They take care of themselves. They completely cut the middleman off. And what we're going to do is completely knock out these commercials. I need you to stick around, Stitch. We'll be coming right back here on The Fighter's Voice, 1680 AM.
You are listening to The Fighter's Voice on AM 1680.
Right now, we gotta take a break.
Pay some bills. So be ready for some head banging, lip smacking, heart attacking, fight talk. Because every fighter has a voice.
Don't hit me, Rich. Don't hit me.
Just break me down with some of that fight talk. The Fighter's Voice. Right here. And remember, every fighter has a voice. And so do you. So let's get ready to you know what. Right here on The Fighter's Voice.
And we're back here on 1680 AM. This is part 4, and it's called The Last Round. This last round is sponsored by Serrano's Furniture, family owned since 1986 in 9 great locations: Bakersfield, Delano, Dinuba, Fresno, Hanford, Madera, Tulare, Visalia, and Porterville. And our other sponsor, About Millions Lifestyle Promotions, and Main Events Gym. And now, back to cage side. Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecard for your winner by unanimous decision, the best cut man in the game, Stitch Duran. And there you are, Stitch.
All right, my man.
That's you, my man, the winner by unanimous decision, the best cut man in the business. How did that make you feel when you hear that title?
Oh, that was awesome, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys.
I want to ask you this, Stitch. Listen, we're going to flip the script. This is part 4. It's the last round. We're going to have some fun. Now, if you were a fighter, what would be your walkout song?
Oye, ¿cómo va? Carlos Santana.
That was quick, too. He's been asked that before. He's thought about that. He had a couple of drinks one night and thought, man, if I was going to walk out, you know what I'd walk out to, man?
There you are.
Oye, ¿cómo va?
Yeah.
Vitor Belfort and Vanderlei Silva gave me that nickname when we were in Japan for the Pride fight.
Oh, really?
Santana, they call me Santana.
Oh, I can see that. That's right. Or Edward James Olmos. I can see that a little bit.
And with James almost all the time.
Oh
There-
yeah, no, we
there
were
you
talking
go.
about that before. Yeah, people mistake him for almost like regularly.
Yeah. Sylvester Stallone, when we were doing Creed, he says I look more like Edward James almost.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can see that. Definitely, I can see that. Now, here's another question. Okay, you're in the fight. Who would be your cut man?
That's a good question. Who would be my cut man? It'd have to be, I think, Rob Monroe that works in the UFC. Great cut man. He covered my back pretty good.
There you go. We're going to send him that stream, and he'll take that compliment. Now, what was it like working with Sylvester Stallone? And can we see you in any more movies? You said you just wrapped up Creed.
Oh, man, working with Sly and Michael B. Jordan one-on-one, I mean, every day I was with them. We're part of the team. We're the same team. It was an honor. It kept blowing my mind all the time. But Stallone's a master of what he does. He's just so good at what he does, so natural. And a lot of things I try to do, I try to pick up after what he did. He's an actor. He's a great actor. And he's a great director and a great writer. And to me, it was mind-blowing just to be with him.
I want to put you on the hot seat just for a little while. This is a question that I ask our guests, not just to, it's just a question I ask. It keeps me going. Now, so far, what do you think of Richard Ortiz in the Fighter's Voice radio show so far?
No, I thought, you know what, I was going to end by saying this, but, I've done a lot of interviews, tons of them, but this is probably the best one I've ever done. Man, you do a great show here. And I ain't just pulling your plug, but this is a very well organized show, and you ask good questions, and it's quite entertaining. And you see, I've still been with you. We were supposed to talk 15 minutes. So we're doing good. You're doing good, brother.
That's probably the best compliment I received. I appreciate that, man. But can you let them know that? Can you let Top Rank know that? Can you let Bellator know that? Can you let PBC know that? Let them know that I'm ready to rock and roll.
Right on. Well, keep doing what you're doing, man. You're doing just fine.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I'll be glad to watch for you anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Now, is there any chance you'll be making the trip to Fresno, California, July 7th to watch the Avenal Kid, our super lightweight champion of the world, the one, the only Jose Carlos Ramirez?
No, I'd love to be there, and I love the way he fights. And it's great that he's from the Valley, right?
Right.
But I'll be in Kazakhstan.
Okay. I just had to ask that question. We got about 2.5 minutes left, and then we got closing. Our last segment's closing. It's only a minute and a half. But I will tell you this. The second segment we had, I think I ate half of my tooth. I'm going serious. My tooth is coming off in the back. My molar, I had 2 teeth just come out right now, and I'll be seeing my dentist. They're all chipped. But I'll give myself props. The broadcaster that I am, I'm not going to let that stop me. So I can say as a fighter, I work through a broken nose or a cut eye because I'm working through my chipped teeth and it's coming out. Every time I talk, I kind of spray out a little bit because of my tooth, because of the gap right there. But I'm not going to let this interview end.
So it doesn't change the sound of your voice either, so that's good.
Hey, that's a big plus right now. My wife's in the back and she's looking at me, shaking her head, and she's actually texting right now. But no,
my wife probably say the same. Don't be telling people that.
Hey, you know what? I just felt like I should, because it makes me feel more like of a warrior. I mean, I interview these MMA fighters and boxers. So for one, I've had to suck it up. For one, I've had to endure and continue to be professional and finish it. And some people are probably going to get slack for saying, okay, there he goes bragging on himself. No, I'm not. I'm not going to stop this interview because I have the best cut man in the business. I got the UFC veteran, the Apache Kid right in front of me. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this.
My man, yeah, you took the pain.
Exactly. Hey, I want to go back to a question. I didn't get a chance to ask you. I know you worked a little bit with, and he was on the undercard. Tell me real quick about your experience with Gabriel Flores Jr., the youngest ever to sign with Top Rank Boxing.
Great kid, man. And, I've worked with him as much as I can. His dad calls me. In fact, his next fight, I think, is July 7th.
Yes, Fresno.
But I'm gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, great kid. Him and his father were, we're all from the 209. He's from Stockton. I'm from a little town called Planada by Merced. But this kid has a ton of talent, and he's going to go far. And he's very humble, and his dad's very humble. But man, they work hard, and they got a great support group. So I'll be working with them again. It's just a matter of me having those dates available.
There you go, Cole. In 30 seconds, the mic is all yours. What questions do you have for the best cut man in the business?
What's your frequent flyer mileage like?
Yeah, I get upgraded.
He
a lot,
does.
man.
He travels a lot. No, of all the places you've been, real quick, in like 10 seconds, respond. Of all the places you've been able to experience because of either being with MMA or boxing or kickboxing or promoting, what's the top place you've ever visited in the world?
Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, beautiful.
Ah, it's gorgeous.
Man.
The people are so nice, and the food is excellent, and the weather is great, and I mean, it's a perfect place to be and just have a good time.
There you go, Rio.
Hey, we're going to come back. We're going to talk more Rio, and we're going to close the house. We'll be coming back with one last segment, only a minute and a half, with Mr. Stitch. Rich Ortiz here with the Fighter's Voice, 1680 AM.
You are listening to The Fighter's Voice on AM 1680.
Right now, we gotta take a break. You know.
Pay some bills. So be ready for some head banging, lip smacking, heart attacking, fight talk. Because every fighter has a voice.
Don't hit me, Rich. Don't hit me.
Just break me down with some of that fight talk. The Fighter's Voice. Right here. And remember, every fighter has a voice. And so do you. So let's get ready to you know what. Right here on The Fighter's Voice.
And we're back here on 1680 AM, The Fighter's Voice. Voiceography at its finest. Every fighter has a voice, and so does the best cut man in the business, Mr. Stitch Duran. This is part 5, and it's called Closing Segments. A big thank you to our guest, Mr. Jacob Stitch Duran, for joining us here on the Fighter's Voice radio show. Thank you for joining us on the Fighter's Voice radio show live stream. Catch our show every Wednesday, 6 p.m. live streamed on Facebook, Richard Ortiz, IG at The Fighter's Voice, with the rebroadcast every Saturday at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. and again on Sundays, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. only on 1680 AM. Go to our webpage, thefightersvoice.com, for extra interviews and video segments. Subscribe to our webpage, thefightersvoice.com. Like and follow our Facebook page, The Fighter's Voice. Follow us on Instagram at The Fighter's Voice. A big thank you to all the listeners, all those who went live streaming with us and left comments for the Fighter's Voice radio show. Stitch, how do we stay in contact with you? How do we continue to follow your journey?
Well, Cole Escobedo is my agent. Contact him. No, you know what? I'm at Stitch Duran and hashtag Stitch Duran. Pretty easy to find out there.
There you go. You know, I want to give a big shout out to Jason Collision, who's my dentist. I'm going to give him a call as soon as I get off the phone, see if I can get over there. I don't want to miss work tomorrow, so right after work tomorrow, Jason Collision in Madera, California, and we'll do a before and after picture. He'll be part of the show, and just to let you know, if I was bleeding, Stitch would be cutting me up right now. I mean, Stitch would be patching me up from all these cuts, but I'm taking it, enduring, because I do appreciate Stitch taking time out of his busy schedule. And I will say this, my man, you are a man of your word. The minute I saw you and we bumped into each other, you made me feel very comfortable and very approachable.
Well, thanks, man. And, you know, that's a lesson I learned from Randall Cunningham. And when I was, you know, nobody, me and my brothers were talking to him when one of Don King's buddies came and said, "Hey, Randall, I need to talk to you." And he says, "Hold on." He says, "Let me finish talking to these guys." And I thought, man, that's such a classy thing. But that's the kind of person I am, is I, you know, show respect to everybody.
There you go. And your upbringing has been good. Hey, this is Rich Ortiz. And as always, I dedicate every breath that comes out of my mouth, every air that I breathe, every single thing in my life, I dedicate to my son. Te quiero mucho, mijo. I love you with all my heart. It's a wrap here. Thumbs up for Richie. I'll talk to you later, Stitch.
All right, my man. Thanks.
Boom. Hey, is he still on the line where I can say hello to him? Well, the red's still on there. Did he? Okay, I'll text him and say thank you. Yeah, but... Yeah, I do want to say bye. Oh, no, he'll go. He'll go. Oh.
It's probably, what, 9 o'clock there in
calling?
Chicago?
Yeah.
It's probably like 9 o'clock in Chicago right now, maybe.
Oh, to this? Okay. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining in. We got some new programs that we're going to be working on. Rich Ortiz with the Fighter's Voice. Co Escobedo in the house. We got a podcast coming out in about 3 weeks on Thursdays. The interview level is going to skyrocket now that we got a good team behind us. And the who's who, we're going to go local, professional, in Hall of Fame style. So appreciate you guys because you guys make it possible. Every time I talk, spit comes out because of my tooth right here. But it's a wrap here. Thumbs up for Richie.